It will almost be a first for the NFL tonight, with Vikings and Rams face one another at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona on Thursday. The league announcing it was moving the game because of the wildfires in the Los Angeles area. The last and only time a game had to be moved in the postseason was all the way back in 1936. So instead of a game at SoFi, it will be a home game for the Rams in Arizona. Yes, they have changed the inside of the stadium, the field, to represent the Rams logos. And if you're wondering if fans are going to travel to this, because I did, 52,000 tickets, by the way, that were offered to the Rams and Vikings season ticket holders. Those did sell out in under 2 hours.
I didn't know the Rams had fans.
No, They did the Rams season ticket holders first, and I think it was like about 25,000. Those sold out, and then they did the Vikings.
Vikings are going to buy them from them. That's what that is.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they're just looking to sell them. So we'll see how many Rams fans do show up, though. Let me ask you guys, though. Look, it is an unprecedented situation. And I will say, I have to throw this in there. I love it. Part of the reason they decided to move it, they had 500 rooms for the Vikings and the Rams and their officials and everything like that. They said, go to the evacuees. We don't need those rooms. So that's a lot of fun. But for an atmosphere, I mean, it's kind of hard to know what to expect tonight.
Yeah, when you look at this, and I actually dealt with something like this earlier this year. I called the game. It was USF versus Memphis. It got moved because of the hurricane from Tampa to Orlando. And DK, you know, as players, we're creatures of habit. The way we're real meticulous in how we do things. And when things like this, a wildfire or a natural disaster happens, it kind of messes up your schedule throughout the week. So whatever team that can refocus, more specifically LA, because you know this is affecting them directly because they probably have family members out there. They want to make sure everybody's safe. There's a lot on their mind, but the good thing about the gridiron is it's a place of solitude where you can go away, get away from the rest of the world, and just lock into football and doing what you love. So these are different circumstances, right? Unique. I think it was 1936 the last time a playoff game got moved, so we're not accustomed to seeing this in the NFL. But whatever team can refocus and lock back in, it'll go a long way in them winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Chargers struggle in their appearance in Houston. Now, that was a road game, a true road game, which was different. But you never know the impact it's going to have on NFL players. I mean, sometimes you're distracted. Other times it can galvanize you, and you use it as a cause to rally around. We saw the Saints win a Super Bowl after Hurricane Katrina, a disaster in that area. So you just never know how teams are going to respond to it. But from a league standpoint, when the players are used to routine and habits, that's where it gets a little bit awkward and a little bit clunky, where you could be used to sleeping in your own bed, you're going into your own locker room, you do your same routine. And I know they're trying to create a home atmosphere for the Rams. It'll be anything but. It's going to be an awkward atmosphere that probably will, you know, obviously pay the respects to the people that are still undergoing, you know, loss and trying to struggle to get back on their feet. It's going to be a unique experience, to say the least.
Yeah, logos will be on the field, same PA announcer, same music, I guess, same intros, but that's about the only thing that'll be similar from a home game there. Let's go to this matchup, because we've seen this matchup before, and the Rams won it.
They did.
I mean, the Rams are the only team not named the Detroit Lions to beat the Vikings this season, and they won by 10 back in Week 8. Has much changed for either team since then, Leger?
I would say so. When you look at that game, that was the return of Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. So the Rams had been playing majority of the season without them. Now, since that game, that offense hasn't looked as good. Now, it looked really good versus the Buffalo Bills, but the last 4 weeks of the season, something has been off with this offense, right? Cooper Kupp has not been involved in the offense. When you look at the last 6 games, right, only 2 of those games he went over 60 yards receiving. He's that third piece of that offense when you talk about Kyren Williams and Puka Nacua. They need Cooper Kupp to show up big in that game. And then also, you would have to say the Vikings have essentially went on a run since that game as well. You talked about it. The only team they've lost to is the Detroit Lions besides the LA Rams. And we saw Sam Darnold really struggle last week, but for majority of the season after that Jacksonville game, he really played at an elite level. I had him as a top 5 MVP candidate going into Week 18. Now, again, he struggled. Looks like he was almost the Sam Darnold from the Jets, where he was seeing some ghosts and wasn't throwing to open receivers, but I believe he will bounce back in this game.
You know, it's interesting. The Rams, you mentioned, you know, winning 5 of the last 6, but the offense has been clunky. Matthew Stafford hasn't thrown over 200 yards in those games, but they figured out ways to win. I think this is like like two teams kind of coming together like with different complexions of where they are. So the Rams, I think they did win out to get to this point. Minnesota, that last game, Sam Darnold, I just wonder because he's had the roller coaster career and it's been a huge comeback season, but against some of the competition they played against, 11-0 against non-playoff teams, 3-3 against teams that made the playoffs, against the better teams he has struggled, and then last week having to overcome that performance. I don't know where Sam Darnold is mentally. And he's rebounded before. I mean, the game against Green Bay was maybe his best game of the season the week before that. So what can he channel coming into this game will be Kevin O'Connell's biggest challenge.
So let's talk about that, how Sam Darnold does try to rebound off that performance, which, by the way, was 18 of 41 attempts, 166 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So I guess maybe that's a shimmer of a bright spot. I mean, maybe you're going the A.J. Brown route. You're ordering that book we saw him reading on the sideline, Inner Excellence. I mean, Danny, from a quarterback perspective, I mean, this has to be mental, right? How does he rebound?
And this is a player, remember when he was on the Jets and they had him mic'd up and he said, I'm seeing ghosts. Like, he's been a little bit somebody who needs more confidence and who wants to see the field clearly, and at times he hasn't. I think when it is a mental game like this is when you block out that last game of the season. You don't even watch the film. You throw it out and say, this is the start of a new season that you're going into. You go and watch the Packers game. You watch some of your best performances of the year, and you trust that your coach is going to build a game plan for you to succeed in this one. So I think this is one of those ones where whether it's a book you read about having confidence, whether it's watching your own highlight reels and watching your own positive tape, that I think is of critical importance for Sam Darnold. And I think his teammates and coaching staff will be preaching to him how great he played all season long. And you just have to play like you did the entirety of the season and not even bring up the last game.
And that's why I think he'll be fine, because Kevin O'Connell should be the front runner for head coach of the year. And you know this, as a head coach, it's your job to instill confidence into your players. I don't think there's a coach I trust more than Kevin O'Connell. I remember vividly there was a matchup where he was mic'd up on the sideline and he was just telling Sam Darnold, like, I have so much confidence in you. You're playing a heck of a game. Those guys in that huddle, they believe in you. Keep continuing to play with confidence and you'll get it done. That's why I think he'll bounce back, because we saw him go through a lull versus Jacksonville Jaguars where he threw 3 interceptions that game because he was trying to force the ball to Justin Jefferson, and then like a light switch went off, and it's like, we have Jordan Addison, we have T.J. Hawkinson. These are first-round picks. We can spread the football around and let J.J. still get his and still win and still play at an elite level. So if there's any coach I trust more to get Sam Darnold out of this funk, it's Kevin O'Connell.
Something, and I doubt he has this in the back of his mind, but I was thinking about, I mean, he's looking for that next contract. We've talked about him staying with the Vikings, potentially going somewhere else. How much leans on this game? Because it's great what you do in the regular season, but if you choke in that last game and you choke in this one, I mean, I'm second guessing that.
It's massive, DK, because when you look at it, Week 18, they had an opportunity to beat the Detroit Lions and be the #1 seed in football, and he didn't play well. Now you talk about it, pressure. You go back to when he was with the Jets. Is this a roller coaster with Sam Darnold, right? When it means the most, does he falter? So this will be big in regards to seeing what his range on numbers will be for his next contract. Even if they don't win, he has to have a good game, this game. If he expects to get upwards of $35, $40 million to hit the open market, or even if he comes back to the Minnesota Vikings around $35 million, Sam Darnold has to prove in the biggest moments he can be clutch.
There is a pressure that some guys, flourish under, and this is a unique type of pressure when you're talking about the type of life-changing money you can make, even as a discounted franchise starter. You're talking 30. I mean, look at the money Baker Mayfield got last year, and Sam Darnold has done well, but that's another stratosphere, and it does start to impact your play. If you let it, you have got to try to block out things, go through the process, go through the preparation, and block all of that talk out, but it is much easier said than done.
Pete Prisco likes to do the quarterback scales, and for this one, you've got Matthew Stafford, who's been there, done that. He's won a Super Bowl, and you have Sam Darnold, who hasn't been in a playoff game ever. Now, Sean McVay has not won a playoff game since Kevin O'Connell went to become the Vikings head coach. He's 0-1 since then. How do Stafford and McVay find that magic again?
Yeah, this is the thing that'll be interesting, and this is my key matchup for the game. It's that pressure package from Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, versus the max protection that the L.A. Rams like to use when they keep Kyren Williams in the tight end in to protect so that Stafford couldn't find Puka Nacua, can find Cooper Kupp. They got to first and foremost, get the ball running with Kyren Williams. Williams. They're going to do that. Sometimes, DK, you know this as a quarterback, it's not about the yard per carry. It's about the attempts. You have to keep the defense honest and be able to run the ball effectively. Then they're going to have to communicate when it comes to this pressure package from the Minnesota Vikings, because too many times we see this Vikings defense have the quarterback speed up their process and throw ill-advised throws. Now, to your point, Stafford's been there, done that. He's seen it all, right? He's won a Super Bowl. He's been a perennial Pro Bowler at the quarterback position. So a lot will be incumbent on him to know where to go with the football when that pressure comes. DK, we talked about it earlier. This Rams offense hasn't looked good, and I actually thought they should have played Week 18 because they had something to essentially play for. They could have locked up the number 3 seed. And you want to be playing your best football, but Sean McVay erred on the side of caution because he felt like the risk reward of potentially somebody getting hurt and the 3 or 4 seed wasn't that important. So we'll see how they come out, because they didn't play last week in Week 18, and they haven't played well on offense the last few weeks.
One thing has to change if the Vikings are to win in that regular season matchup. You mentioned Brian Flores pressure packages, 0 sacks in that one. Matthew Stafford was clean. It's one of the reasons he had 4 touchdown passes. On the other side, Sam Darnold got sacked 3 times. So, like, if the winning team is going to do it better, neither one of these quarterbacks are very mobile. They are pure play action and pocket passers. Whoever protects their quarterback the best probably will have the best chance of success.
All right, let's get a pick on this game. It is a very interesting one. Again, being played in Glendale, Arizona. You got the Rams dealing with all their troubles at home. You got Sam Darnold with all the pressure in the world on him. Vikings favored by 2.5 in this one. Danny,
can you tell which way we're going? Because I always try to leave it like a little bit dramatic.
I feel like I know
where
really
he's going.
Jay's
Why do you know where I'm going?
Because I think you gave it away. I'm going with the Rams. I'm going with the pedigree. I'm going with the quarterback that I don't have any concerns about where his mind is. The confidence level, I think, is an all-time high. This season was kind of the perfect storm for the Rams because it started off bumpy. The offensive line was banged up. Then they started getting healthier and healthier. You get some of your weapons back at receiver. Sean McVay's been there, done that. I'm going to go with the team that I can trust. So
this line went back and forth. It was -1 when the game was supposed to be in LA, essentially a pick 'em. Now it's already boomed up to -2.5. And I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings to cover it. Surprise, surprise. I think Kevin O'Connell gets the best out of Sam Darnold. We saw him really struggle last week, but again, there's no coach I trust more to instill that confidence in his quarterback to get his mind right for this game. And also that pressure package, you talked about it. That was a game also the Rams offensive line finally got back healthy as well. But I believe Brian Flores will adjust and they will be able to get after Matt Stafford. Don't like how I saw the Rams play down the stretch. You always want to be playing your best football. Give me the Minnesota Vikings -2.5.
Okay, so on either side of that, it's time for our same game parlay presented by FanDuel. I'm not going to have a point spread in here because what we need to do is we need to get 4 picks together. We're going to parlay them all together.
We're going to win.
This one's going to pay out at better than 12-1, almost 13-1 here.
Yeah.
So, Danny, why don't you get us going with your first pick here in the parlay?
I am taking an anytime touchdown for Puka Nacua. You heard me like the Rams. In the first matchup, he had 7 catches, 106 yards. He only has 1 touchdown in the season, so that might make me a little bit nervous, but it also gives you good value for one of Stafford's favorite targets, so I'll go Puka Nacua anytime touchdown.
They're going to bracket coverage him. They ain't getting the ball.
Well, you better hope he does if this parlay is going.
We need a parlay to win. I'm going to go with one of the receivers on the Minnesota Vikings side, and it's not Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison has scored in 5 straight games and probably should have had 2 or 3 touchdowns last week if Sam Darnold lets the ball go when he's supposed to. When you look at this Rams defense, 2 out of the last 3 games, DK, the number 2 receiver scored a touchdown. Jordan Addison has been hot in the red zone. I think he continues that versus the Rams today.
Okay, none of us knew what we were picking. I'm also going for an anytime touchdown. I'm going with the easy pick. I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. I mean, it's safe. Like, I'm good. Like,
all right, Hassel, what do we got?
I'm not going to give you a plus money pick here. I'm going to give you a pick that I just think is going to happen at -166. Sam Darnold to go over 50 passing yards in the first quarter. Okay? Sam Darnold over 50 passing yards first quarter. Again, it's -166, but when you put it all together in a parlay, it will pay out nicely if this all comes through for us.
Who's putting down the money out of us?
I'm going to put it down right now.
Divide it up.
So there it is. Jordan Addison, anytime TD. Puka Nacua, anytime TD. Justin Jefferson, anytime TD. So we have at least 3 touchdowns in this game.
Correct.
And Sam Darnold,
touchdowns galore.
Sam
Kinda made
Darnold
me a
there
little nervous.
at over 50 passing yards in the first quarter.
All right, we're putting this down with FanDuel, by the way. We want to let you know, buckle up, because for the first time ever, FanDuel giving all customers a no-sweat same-game parlay for 5 straight days of playoff football. Plus, new FanDuel customers can get $200. How about that? And bonus bets guaranteed on your first $5 bet.